Hi, everybody. Welcome to an edition of Yo on the Go Leadership Moments, where we look to upgrade all the vehicles in our lives. Today's special guest is Whurley, also known as Whurley. He's the CEO of StrangeWorks, which is a quantum computing platform company focused on developing the next generation of users, actually, for quantum computing. He's also a featured speaker at the IEEE Rising Stars Conference in 2021. So welcome to the show, Whurley.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
No, thanks so much. And I know that StrangeWorks being a quantum computing platform is very different from your previous endeavor, which was Honest Dollar. And Honest Dollar was a kind of a startup company focused on from my understanding, a 401k, generating 401ks for small businesses. Now, small businesses, 401ks, and quantum computing, they seem to be very different. But the one thing that's unified of those things is you. And so I'm thinking that first thing is in my head is serial entrepreneur. You're selling something other than the product. So can you share a little bit about what makes you that thread between these two very different companies, both very successful?
Well, I think there's a lot more in common than that. My entrepreneurial journey is 2010. I started Chaotic Moon as a mobile company. Then 2015, I started Honest Dollar, which a lot of people like to talk about because it was acquired on its 1-year anniversary, which was a big deal for a lot of people. And then I started StrangeWorks. So if you look at it, what's different between them is the reason I started them. So when I started, Chaotic Moon, it was a company for fun and money. And then when I started Honest Dollar, I wanted to do some good in the world. The idea was to use the ability to take and build these massive platforms to give people an alternative to a 401k, like people like Uber drivers and Lyft drivers that didn't have a plan, they didn't count as employees, kind of let's do something good in the world, that mythical founder thing you hear about that we all know doesn't really exist. And so with this company, I wanted something different. A long-term horizon, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, something that is, could be potentially a legacy project, but that would really affect the world. So like StrangeWorks will never win a Nobel Prize in, quantum computing or quantum mechanics or physics or any of that. But maybe somebody using our solution will. They would have never had a chance. Maybe we're never going to find a cure for cancer, but maybe somebody out there will, if this technology is democratized enough and freely available to the hundreds of millions, if not billions, of creative minds there are all around the world. So they're very different companies, but outside of me being the common factor is they're software focused, no hardware, large scale deployments, like large platforms, and usually there's a lot of management requirements. So the funny thing is I see all three of these businesses much more the same than I do see them differently.
Mm. I think that's really a unique thing, right? In some ways, and I've heard about this, when you're starting your own business, you are not just the entrepreneur, but you're also the technical expert as well as the manager, all at the same time. And you've got all these competing
Right.
people in your head kind of going back and forth. But the one thing that you're doing that's very unique is you are building the business as a business, and the product somewhat comes out secondary to that, the business itself getting all of those things in place. Can you comment a little bit about that and how you are able to structure your companies
Yeah, I mean,
for growth?
the traditional thing is building a product first. You find a problem, you build a product to it. You see so many companies pivot because they don't think they do enough planning forward. I like to do forward planning, backward looking, meaning that I look at what I think the company could be in 10 years or 15 years. Then I backward plan like all the things that would need to happen for it to get to that point, and then we start. And product can be closer to the front in some and further in others. I mean, we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary. We have a beta product out for StrangeWorks at quantumcomputing.com, but we don't yet have a released product that everybody can sign up for. And that's not a bad thing. First to market is an illusion. First to market, if you're going as an entrepreneur into an area that you have to be first to market in to be successful, it's probably not a good market for you to get in. If the only thing that differentiates your product from everybody else's is you did it first, that's not necessarily a business I'm interested in starting as an entrepreneur or investing as an investor.
So now that you're seeing that the first to market is not really that thing, right? Racing to that breakneck speed towards the first person to put out a product, and you're looking at long-term ideas, 5, 10, 20
Right.
years. What do you see as an investment for a rising star that's starting out in their career and seeing all of these other people, starting up companies? They say, maybe I want to start a company in the future. What sort of education, what sort of life experiences would be most beneficial? I mean, you're an Eisenhower Fellow. You're MIT, residence, innovator in residence. What sort of experiences would really help in that future?
So for entrepreneurs, whether they want it to be or not, the best experience is going to be the experience which allows the entrepreneur to network, right? All fundings are done through networks. All great employee hires are usually done through some network, right? It may not be your network, it may be somebody you hired, they have somebody, or et cetera, et cetera. So things that build community around the entrepreneur, I'm very big on, right? So um, go get an internship somewhere just to learn the business side, or go get if you're talking about degree plans and stuff, look, I don't think you can pick a degree plan. I think it's kind of silly. I think it's hard to say when I finish this in 4 years or 6 years or 7 or 8, probably take me 10. I'm definitely just going to be an electrical engineer working on this, because so many things will change in the first 4 years of college. How many people do you know that pivot their degree or whatever? So I would say, core business stuff, take some of that in college would be very, very useful. Overall degree, do what you love. And maybe it affects you starting a business in the future, maybe it doesn't. Some of the best people I know in technology are actually people with philosophy degrees or English degrees, or where their degree has absolutely nothing to do with it. But what college does provide you is an amazing opportunity to network and learn. For example, look at the work I'm
Hmm.
doing either at UT or with MIT. You've got a situation in where there are some incredible names that it would take you 20 years to build enough credibility to talk to, that are just available because you're in that community, right? And that goes for 100 universities worldwide, right? Doesn't matter if it's Tokyo Institute or NYU or Wharton or whatever. And although some of them are more famous and every year USA tries to rank them, the reality is, the biggest benefit you can get from that is the network. And the thing you should do is things that increase your network. Even things you don't think are useful, take the time to meet people. The reason, I've been so blessed in my career, I think, is because of a lot of other people's advice and insights. And the larger network I have, the more of that data I have to make decisions on. In fact, it's kind of it's a topic of my new book, but you might not be able to see it, but we have these little data, not drama. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the
I saw that.
whole philosophy. And part of data, not drama, is you have to have a way to get the data. So you're young, you're a rising star, go do volunteer at places that will build network with, maybe like minds at first, but I prefer a diversity of thought. Go try to make sure that in school that you're looking at all the things available to you. One of the things I worry about college students is there's so many things available to them, like, oh, this company's coming to talk or this, and a lot of them, they just miss it because they don't matter. And that could be the opportunity right there that sparks your idea or drives a network or helps you find, a new job. So it's like, I think the more you're out there, the better. And look, you're going to talk to a lot of people that you may not like, and they may not like you. And there's all kind of interpersonal, relationships that you'll build, and interpersonal skills that you develop. But being able to be an entrepreneur means being able to take risk, and risk is a lot easier to take when you've got a big group of people behind you, or you can tap somebody for help.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you're really saying the network is the computer in some ways, right? That
Yeah,
the network effects outweigh the individual contribution of each
100%.
node.
And those
Yeah.
and startups are a team sport. They're always struggling or out of business. And so as a team sport, you need a team. And sometimes it's not just the people. Think of it like any major sports team. You don't just have the players and the coaches and the organization. It goes all the way out to the fans, right? You have this big ecosystem of people you have to communicate with. So the more you do to develop your interpersonal skills, the ability to talk to people, present, things like that, the better I think you'll fare when you go out in your first adventure, because you'll have people you can call on and hopefully potentially count on.
And I think one of the examples that I've heard, and I want to hear a little bit more about that on your perspective, is how you got Obama to be part of that sphere of influence to have Will I Am and other artists come on board onto your ideas. How did you do that? How did that happen?
Well, that's a great question. So, frankly, Will and I met, I don't even know how many years ago. He was an investor in Honest Dollar. He's just a nice guy that happened to me. I mean, my career has afforded me the opportunity to meet a lot of people that other people would love to meet that one person, and I've met 2 dozen of them. That's just, I mean, that's part of luck, right? And that's part of actually what we were just talking about. Why did I
Mm.
get to meet Will I Am, and then why did he invest in my business? Why did I get to work with President Obama and do South by Southwest at the White House and host him here and all those things? It's because of what I just said. Being able to have that connectivity, then people call you. The way I got the call for President Obama coming to South by in 2016 was a guy called me and said, "Hey, do you want to host the president at South by? I need to know right now." I said, "Sure, that sounds great." He goes, "Great, I'll call you back." Click. And it was because I had that network effect, because I was there, that somebody had heard my name, and a friend who was involved with putting it together had put that together, and a bunch of other people did all that, and they called me, and I was there to catch that opportunity, if you will, when it came to me.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for your insight. To hear that relationships are the bedrock of any business, and deep relationships, not just developing superficial, I think is
That's right.
a key metric, a key insight that I just really want to celebrate and thank you for bringing that out. Best of luck with you. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to having you at the next IEEE Rising Stars Conference. Whurley is always a dynamic speaker, and him and other featured speakers will be there, and you'll get to connect with him and get to understand a little bit more about how to be an entrepreneur and how to be a leader. So the links are below, and if you can click on the descriptions, you'll get to a place where you can register for this virtual world conference. So I hope this was helpful for you. Until next time, bye. And thanks so much, Whurley. I very much appreciate the
Thank you
time and
very much
attention
for
you've had.
having me.